Hello, welcome to the Canyon eSports Race to the Underground round 2. And we're in New York this week. I am joined by Canyon e-racing extraordinaire from Hamburg, not that far from where I am in Berlin, Philip Diegner. He's joining me on the mic tonight. Say hello.
Hello.
Hey, how are you tonight?
Good, good. I would rather be racing out there, but I think that's the second best alternative that I had, so I'm here commentating today.
And you got a dicky leg.
Yeah, a little bit still. But
Huh?
I'll be racing again soon.
Good, good. How's the recovery going?
It's pretty good. I'm spending 2 hours on a bike in one turn now, and the numbers are pretty good. So I will test my legs tomorrow night for the first time in a race, probably, and I'm pretty hopeful that I can race properly by October.
Sweet. So just in time for the invitational races, which will be kicking off around about that time.
Yeah, that's the plan. Um, it's going to be a pretty exciting Swift season this year, and I'm hoping that I can be part of that from the beginning and not jump in later.
Cool.
It's pretty tough seeing the other guys racing out there while you're on the sidelines.
I can imagine. Right, I'm going to hand over to Philip now because I've got to hop on my bike and do the neutralized start. So, Philip, I'm going to hand over to you, and I'll be back with you in a second.
Yeah, I'm probably just going to talk about this course today a little bit. We're going to race Astoria Line 8, which is I think maybe the most interesting course on New York because it's one of the shorter one. It's 11 kilometers, and you have a lot of these very short, punchy climbs, and you usually get some kind of break in the group very soon, and a lot of people get caught out there. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here right after the neutral starts on the first climbs. If people are a bit on the brave side today, there could be some very early decision for some of the guys. It's great to see that we have some of the very strong guys out there. We have some very good guys again from, of course, the Canyon team itself, but also from Cyrus. We have Dan Fleeman on course today. We have, I think, Gavin Dempster's riding. Yeah, there he is. And David Talbot. That's the guys that Cyrus has brought to the circuit today. We have the Vitis team, which has got Mike Mottram. They've also got Chris McLinchley. And we also got the Misfits team, which just raced pretty strong last week. They made a lot of very nice attacks. Yeah, as you can see, the guys are still behind Reese at the moment, who's doing the neutral start, which is a pretty cool thing to see in these invitational races that we can do now, where you actually it's getting much closer to the start from like a real road race, where you always are behind the neutral car towards the beginning before the guys actually go on, and maybe we can see a break right from the beginning here as well. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see this new feature being implemented, because for us it's a much more realistic start, much more like the road races, and the Swift racing usually only see these standing starts, and this is something else where your legs are actually warmed up a little bit better before you actually get out on the road. Yeah, as you can see, we have about, I think, I haven't got the exact number of the guys that have actually shown up, but it should be about 30 riders out there today, 25, 30 riders. It's really going to be an interesting race. It's hard to tell whether it's going to be a sprint. There are some pretty big guns for the sprint out there, of course, Ollie Jones, John Mood, but also Brian Hodges. But it could also be decided from a much smaller group if some of the guys are interested in that one. And here we go. Reese has handed over the banner to the guys out there, and there's also the first attack from one of the Danish guys. Lionel is right on his wheels. There you go. Did you break a sweat there?
I think I did, yeah. What a way to start the race every week. Woo.
Yeah, it's great when the commentator actually has to do the neutral start. I think they should do that on the tour as well.
I think so. I was glad to see that this rider, is it Hansen, who was right on my wheel and sprinted right from the off. That was pretty cool
Was
to
that a
see.
tactical start or was that an early start? What would you say?
No, I think he timed that perfectly.
Yeah, it was great. He's actually back in the peloton now, but it was a nice move. It's difficult on that course because you go right after that first short climb, you go into the long descent where the field is just so much faster than you're on your own. It's always difficult to make a full lap move work on that course. And I think he realized quite quickly that he wasn't able to hold the field off there.
Yeah, I mean, what I think's really interesting about this course, so I wrote it earlier, is that whilst on paper it looks pretty flat, it actually there's a few little lumps in there, and I think because we'll
Yeah.
be doing just shy of 2 laps, you'll be going over those kind of bumps several times, so they will offer up a couple of opportunities as places for riders to attack,
Yeah, and
which is going to be interesting to see.
definitely. And I've never seen one race on that course or the similar course with just a park perimeter loop where not at least a couple of guys get caught out of one of these punchy climbs because they're just too far back. And when a move goes at the front and you're not there, usually you're just out of the draft and then you're gone. And it happens almost every single time you race on these New York courses.
Exactly, and I think like what we saw last week, you know, with these with less riders basically, so the peloton is a lot smaller. It means that there are more opportunities for riders to get away, to form a breakaway, to put in little attacks here and there to stretch it out. And you wouldn't normally get these opportunities with a bigger pack. So doing this kind of smaller race format allows guys to kind of put in those digs which they wouldn't otherwise. And as you can already see, there's a couple of guys going up the road. I think maybe it was Lionel who kicked it all off, and it's already getting strung out right here. So he sat up a little bit. Mikey Mottram here is rolling through, so he's continuing on the push.
Yeah, and that's the first climb really that it's always a difficult one in the first lap when you go over this course because it starts pretty steep, then there's a small plateau, and then it steepens off towards the end again, and it's really easy to get caught out here, and it's really hurting as the first real punch of every race. And you can see there's another attack over the top already. So there's people trying to make that work, to make the split. Who's in there?
It's Brian Hodges.
It's Brian Hodges himself who might pretty also perform in the sprint later.
Yeah, it's a good course for Brian Hodges. And I saw that one of the Misfits riders went over with him. So the guys racing in the Wahoo kit here, if you didn't see the race from last week, then they are the Canyon Misfits. They are made up of guys who have applied to be in the Canyon development squad, and applications have now closed. So they closed on Sunday, so now we're in the process of actually kind of selecting who will be, you know, in that final squad. But in the meantime, we've offered those guys who have applied the opportunity to have a race and race against basically the best e-racers in the world. And thus far, they've done a pretty good job of, putting their claim down and sticking with the top guns. So yeah, it's good to see them, and there's 4 of them right at the front here.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for these guys, and it's also just a great motivational factor when you know you can prove yourself here. And they, in the first race, they really lighten things up on the first couple of laps, maybe there, and it's good to see that they're willing to attack and to really perform. And maybe we see some of them in the main squad someday.
Exactly, and they've got everything to prove. So you know, although we've made it pretty clear that like racing in this series, it won't necessarily affect your application, but just for like acting as a platform for getting your name out there, see how you match up against, you know, a lot of the top guys. It's a fantastic opportunity. So yeah, it's really cool to see how they are getting on basically. And interestingly enough, while we've been talking, Gavin Dempster has just nudged off of the front here, and he's got pretty much what looks like a 2-second gap from the group, and he's still pushing out 6 watts per kilo, so it's not going to be enough to really stay away, but it's definitely enough for us to watch him and to get a bit of sponsor time off the front of the race.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of guys, they will be hurting by now. It's been a pretty intense start to that one. that most of the guys will be above 5 watts per kilogram average at the moment. And if you can make that work for a couple of minutes, just hold the group off for just 3-4 seconds, then he might just be let go a little bit, because the guys will probably want to slow down for a little while, and they're going to be tactics in play. And this climb that's going on for a kilometer longer, there's another small descent in there, and then you have to climb again. And if you can get over that top, you might actually get a significant gap for a while there. It's really difficult on that course to really maintain your advantage for the whole lap. It's just so lumpy, and every time you get into a descent and then on a climb again, the field just rolls back towards your wheel. But you need at least 6-7 seconds on a climb to really make it work. But if someone can do it from the Ceres guys, it's Gavin Dempster. He can hold some serious power for a while.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely one. I'd say he's more of a, at least from his performances, he seems more of a climber than a rouleur, which I guess is what this course is well suited to. But he's definitely out of the guys riding, he's probably the best one to try and get away, and then his teammates can just sit in and wait for the final sprint. So, and to be honest, it's none of the guys behind are really putting any effort in to chase. So the gap is going out now. He has been given a bit of free rein, and you can see just from the guys behind, they're slowly going off to the distance. But it looks like
Mike Mottram has launched a move.
Yeah, his chance to stay away has been reduced because Mikey Mottram fears the danger of giving him too much rope, and has bridged across with Madsen from Fusion here. And they are going to be with him.
Yeah, and there go Velas and Westy just behind them. I think they realized that being in a move on that descent could be quite useful. If we get a 5-6 man group out there at the front, just rolling away a little bit, and if they can work together, this can really be a very decisive move already in the first lap.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like they've got enough of a time if you get 6 riders going up the road in a Zwift race, people are going to be like, whoa, that's too many, and then try and bridge across, and he ends up getting really strung out. So, but let's just have a look back and see. Oops, let's just see where that gap is. So the gap looks at about 2 seconds, I would say. So these guys are really going to have to push on and work together if they want to try and increase that gap before everybody else is going to try and like sprint across and bridge the gap. At the moment, they're not doing it. So this is their opportunity. If they want to make it work, they're going to have to really work together and push hard now. Otherwise, it's undoubtedly going to be brought back.
I think they actually got a chance now if they can get over this a little bit more lumpy bit here. They have 2-3 seconds now if they can stay to work together. Now most of the big teams are there. Just John Moore's team, I think, is missing from the bigger teams. So there's not a lot of interest in the group behind to really make the chase at the moment. And I think some of the big guns are happy to just sit back and see how that develops.
Yeah, you can see on screen here the gap's really gone out now. I'm really surprised by that. I thought the guys would be trying to sprint across, but I guess, as you said, most of the teams are fairly well represented. It's only Moldy's team which has kind of missed out on that. So yeah, interesting to see. This is more like a traditional bike race in that respect. But I can see behind that actually maybe John Mould, who might be listening to the broadcasts, actually it looks like it was Dan Fleeman. Again. Oh, it's Dan Fleeman, Hansen, and De Roos. You can see Ollie as well. See, this is the problem. Like, I don't think their gap's big enough. John Mould's there. John Mould is there. Furious Mouldy.
The captain himself is going after that move now. And you can see some serious splits in the field. The group is really strung out. That's why you really have to pay attention to stay there. And you can see that the smaller field really allows people to try something, and they get the confidence that they might actually get a gap, instead of if it's a 90, 100 person field on that course, you would probably just see them roll around for 4 laps and then there's a sprint. But as you can see now, there's a lot of activity going on. People are daring to get out at the front, and it's great to see. It's great racing, and it feels a lot like road racing as well.
Yeah, exactly. it only seemed like it was going to be a matter of time until someone was not going to be happy that that gap was going out.
Yeah.
Because again, you haven't got that big blob effect that you'd get when there are, 100, 50, 100 riders, and it's all coming back now. Which was interesting. Again, you wouldn't really get a breakaway kind of form like that and possibly even get that gap. It's only been closed because the other guys behind didn't want it to be that big, and they put in a big dig. Interestingly, it was Dan Fleeman who seemed to... Maybe he was marking John Mould. We didn't quite see how it happened. It looked like he was the one driving it on. Which would be weird because Gavin was obviously up the front. So my guess is that it was probably John Mould who was the one who was desperate to kind of get across and not miss out.
Yeah.
So so John Mould's team, they're racing in this green kit, which looks like the Welsh rugby team's away kit from about 20 years ago.
I don't know anything about that.
Only the Irish should wear green, that's all I'm saying. Although actually the current Welsh away kit is a dark green, but anyway, we all make mistakes. So it's all back together now. I think pretty much everyone's done a good job of staying in. Let's just see. So Freddie Vella looks like he has dropped out the back, unfortunately. So he was the first of the misfits to not manage to stick with the group, but everybody else seems to be in here, and definitely the guys who raced last week will have a little bit of an advantage just in kind of their knowledge of how the racing dynamics are like, because a lot of these guys probably won't be used to this kind of racing dynamic unless you're doing a race at 7 a.m. in the morning and there's like 10 people or 5 people. You're not going to be used to how this kind of dynamic works because all of the big races, as you say, there's like 50 to 100 people and it's completely different. So, and also I think some of the riders who maybe aren't used to making attacks will probably be looking at some of the guys making those attacks and the other guys bridging across and thinking, I could probably try something like that. I could do that and be a little bit more playful. So, it should be interesting to see what's gonna happen next. Maybe my money's on John Mould is going to be the next one to go on an attack.
Or someone from his team to be sent at front. I'm expecting fireworks on almost every climb in that second lap. The race is not so long, so the guys won't save more energy now. It's all going to be a lot of people going to take the chances now as they saw that attacks might work, as you said. And and there will be some tired legs now. The first lap wasn't easy.
Yeah, it wasn't easy, and as you can say, so this race is 22 kilometers in length. So we're just under the 10 kilometers to go mark. So you unfortunately on my stream, because of the way what it's set up, you can't actually see the countdown to the finish line. But we know that the race is 22 kilometers, and they've got just under 10k to go. So there's not that many more opportunities to really split it up. But we have got that other kind of, I don't know what you call it. You got a bit of a micro climb, which is probably the best place to put in an attack. And I think if enough people get over that climb, if they can stick together, they could stay away and defeat the obvious outcome, which would be a bunch sprint. So I think there's a real opportunity for some guys to oh, there's me. There's a real opportunity for some guys to actually, win from a breakaway, which, again, not the sort of thing that would normally happen. But, it would be awesome to see some guys win in a breakaway. And as we saw before, in Lino got it absolutely right from the Canyon eSports team. He got it absolutely right in the last race. And some of the other guys, even from the Canyon team, like Ollie, held back and wasn't paying attention to the distance marker. So you've got to pay attention to that. Otherwise, it's no good just thinking that the finish is going to be where the finish always is. And I think that's kind of a bit more helpful because in this course, the finish, well, you don't normally do this. This kind of 2 laps of of this particular course. So it's kind of completely unique in that sense. So yeah, really got to pay attention to the distance counter on their screens and play it by ear. So there's a lot of again, a lot of opportunity because this is kind of new for a lot of the riders, even the course.
The course is the format is. There's a lot of new names in there as well, so I'm really interested to see who can win this. It's hard to make a real call on who's the big favorite in this one, and you can see that the guys are really taking it easy since they crossed the finish line. No one's really daring to attack before that next climb that is coming up in about 1 kilometer now, and I'm really expecting fireworks there.
I think that's got to be the place, even if you don't intend to go on a breakaway. It seems fairly obvious that would be the place to attack, to at least try and string it out and make some of your opponents really suffer.
And probably get rid of some of the sprinters. And I do think that the long drag that we get in about 3K and that goes on for about 2 kilometers is a big opportunity to, if someone's really strong and can hold about 6.5, 6.6 for 3 minutes, then we might see a successful breakaway there as well. I think we need at least 2 or 3 guys though to make it work, but then something might actually happen after the 2 punchy climbs when we get to the long drag back towards the finish area.
Yeah, so you say you don't want to make a call on who's gonna win, but are you gonna wait? You're gonna wait until the climb? I mean, Mikey Mottram here looks like he is ready to go, but then Neil Ostenfeld, he's the one launching the attack.
There he goes.
And he is off. He is not waiting around.
Big numbers now.
Yeah, there's some big numbers behind. Moldy, you can see the Moldster. He is not interested in being left behind again. And Neil Ostenfeld has he's put out some serious watts to get up that climb ahead. Very smart, I think. Very smart.
Yes, and if he sees that some guys are coming back up now, he can rest a little bit now. He's first on the climb. He can have some guys catch up and then they can probably work together. The field is really strung out now. And it's just a small descent, and then we're hitting the next steep climb right away, and this is going to really hurt now if there's another attack there.
Yeah, but it looks like everyone's pretty much made it in. Let's just jump back.
Yeah, everyone's still in there. No one has lost contact on that climb. It was really strung out, and some guys were hanging at the back. But then again, some of these guys might just be saving their energy really smart and explode towards the end. We haven't seen a lot of Ollie Jones yet in this race. And he's always one for a strong finish. He's very experienced in Swift racing by now, and he's raced this. He raced this format last week as well, so he might do something. Lionel we've seen at the front a little bit, but he loves that course, and I think he can perform. Let's see who attacks on this one. But I think we need to get rid of some of the sprinters. If
is there going to be another chance though? Is there another chance for them to lose the sprinters?
This climb here is really cruel if you've suffered a little bit already. It's really short, but you go up to 10%, 11%, and never underestimate that one. And if you're tired after this climb, and then we get onto the drag, and the pace is really high there, this is where you can probably make the difference. You can see now that the field is even more strung out than on the previous climb, and you can see all this climb, the strong climb is at the front now. Although Hodges is still in between there, but you can see gaps opening up. I don't think everyone's going to make it over that one.
Well, there's Dan Freeman
actually at the back. Yeah, he's in the back group now. They might be making it back on the descent, but this is going to hurt them now.
It's going to be tough. They're not going to be getting as much draft as they would normally be getting in a bigger group. And so they're going to have to work extra hard to get back on here. And you can see there's already some riders up the road. So let's jump ahead and see who has gone up the road. Dempster again. And Velez, he's keen to bridge over. So we've got Lino Vuersen, we've got Brian Hodges, we've got Gavin Dempster, and it looks like Charlie Velez is going to come over to them as well. But they've only got what looks like 2 or 3 seconds.
Yeah, but if they're working together well now, it's a 2-kilometer climb, or nearly 2 kilometers. You can really make a difference here. I'd say they need about 10 seconds or 8 seconds on top to really cut cut that string, and then let's see who still got the legs in the back to work, because now it's the guys will be tired now. There's not a lot of interest to chase. Canyon's up there. So and SARS is up there too, so they won't work. The Misfits, will they be able to bring them back? Did Charlie Wallace make it up there?
Yeah, he's in second position currently. So
oh, they won't work either. It's on Moldy or and Fusion again then. So it's just two teams that might actually work to chase them down, and then you can see the gap is growing. And the pace in the back is just 3 watts per kilogram. If they continue on like that for the rest of the climb, then they have a problem.
Yeah, Vuursen is now putting out a little bit more power, and the other guys are going to have to try and sit on his wheel. They need to work together now. I think Lino is going to be very keen to possibly lose these guys. I can't imagine he's keen to work with them. I think he's going to try and feel confident that he could probably do it by himself. But for sure, Gavin Dempster and Velez, and I'm sure Hodges are not going to be interested in being dropped so early on. So, yeah, now Lino's back on this group.
And there's a counter-attack at the back. Some of the Misfests have really increased the pace. Maybe Charlie Velez is not going to be happy about that. And the Vitus team with Mike Mottram is also, they're trying hard to close that gap now. And that's a big advantage for the others who can just sit on. Ollie Jones can surf the wheels now. I mean, surfing at 700 watts is one thing, but the gap is really big, and it's going to be difficult now. Dan Fleeman has actually made it back, and now he's even counterattacking. So he's probably been.
But they can see them now.
Energy.
Oh, look, Ollie Jones. Ollie Jones is going to be the one that wants to bridge over. He is not interested in being left alone. He's going to try and get over to his teammate Lino, but he's going to try and do it in a way which doesn't drag everybody else across. So you saw he put in a massive dig there because he wants to make it over to this front group. But he doesn't want everybody else in his slipstream. So pretty tactical move there.
If the Canyon team gets 2 people up there, it's good. But if he's somewhat being a carrot and dragging the others along, it might hurt the group towards the end anyway, because the group is 5 seconds, 6 seconds back maybe, and they have to continue working. They can rest now. And it seems like the cohesion in the group is really reducing now. They can see that the bigger group is really close again, and it's going to be hard to make that one work now, because they're leaving the descent, and now the elastic is going to be jumping right back onto them again.
Yeah, well, they've got about 2 kilometers to go. Now Canyon has the numerical advantage. They've got Lino and they have Ollie Jones. Ollie Jones doing a fantastic job of jumping across there and not letting anybody else stick in his draft.
That was a huge effort. We'll see. Let's hope it hasn't hurt him for the sprint, but the numerical advantage is a big thing now. But still, it's probably 5 seconds, and it's still, if they just slow down for 10 seconds, that gap is going to be closed.
Exactly. These guys have now they've got to go full gas. They cannot sit around. They cannot play games. But as we say, like, the Canyon guys now have the numerical advantage. There's 2 of them. None of these guys here are going to want to slow it down. You can see already there's some orange numbers here. They're trying to keep that pace as high as possible in order to keep the gap up. But it'll be interesting to see, what do the Canyon guys do? Do they send one of them up the road? And you know, they've got the best chance here of winning, and they've got to use that advantage. And for sure, there's going to be guys in that second group now who are going to be really worried, especially about this time gap, which looks like it's around about 7 seconds. And they're going to want to try and sprint across, and it's going to be pretty manic. We're going to see, essentially, there's 2 races coming on here. There is this chase group which will want to be sprinting across, and then there is this this group at the front, and they'll want to keep that distance all the way to the finish line, and they're very close. They're within the last kilometer.
I think they're going to make it.
There's
800. They're going to make it. It's the last kilometer, and the guys in the back, now they're attacking. Okay, now it's going to be interesting. I think there's one happy face in that back group right now. It's Stevie Young. He hasn't worked at all in that race. He can unleash a sprint, and he has been really good at hiding. let's see. We got some more guys in the back that can sprint really well that are coming across the group now.
Exactly.
Has the
And
group saved enough energy to jump on these wheels of the guys coming from the back now? It's going.
well, we're gonna see.
Oh,
Oh, they've made it. So they're gonna hit.
yeah.
They're gonna hit this main sprint, and they've already gone. So they're hitting this main sprint, and their finish line is more or less going to be under the sprint banner. So we have a.
It's one of the longest sprints I've ever seen. If they pull through towards the end.
Well, it's going to be fascinating. So they dropped the arrows. Leanor's dropped his. Okay, now they're on there. Here is the finish line coming up. They can see it in front of them. And it's Brian Hodges who's leading it. But is Leanor going to beat him on the day? It looks like Brian Hodges is going to be the one that got it. Leanor in second, I think. It looked like
And
Alex
I
West.
think it was Alex
third.
West in third and Steve Young in fourth. So it's.
All right. Well.
And Madsen, I think, was fifth. Maybe it's going to be interesting.
All right, but that was a fascinating sprint finish at the end there.
Yes, that was really interesting. That felt like a real bike race. The group still in the front in the last kilometer. They played a tactical game, and the big group came back, and then they all sprinted together, which was huge, and it was amazing to see that Lionel still had the legs to go after Hodges there, and I think it was the strongest guy sprinted out for the win in the end.
Yeah, very, very smart play by Brian Hodges there, and there you go. He's got the green sprinters jersey, so he earned that. That's pretty good to see. So we will. It looked pretty clear who the top three were, and we will publish the final results tomorrow. Everyone's disappeared now because they have finished, and now it is just me, and it looks. And I'll be the last one to finish. Actually, I've already ridden this course. I'm not doing it again. But that was really interesting to see. It was amazing to see that little breakaway group kind of stay away for so long, and only really just get caught at the very. We were about 500 meters to go. I think it was very, very close. And then to have a final sprint, battle it out, and then it looked like Lionel possibly was going to just maybe come round Hodges there, but Hodges kept the power down and managed to keep going all the way to the line, which was great to see.
And it was impressive considering they were both in the breakaway, and Hodges was in the group in the first lap as well. So those were the real strong guys today, and they really deserved being up there.
And it goes to show that you can, in this style of racing, you can go for a breakaway, and it will end up working. I think a lot of times in normal Zwift racing, you will see guys who will go for they'll be too scared, I'd say. They're too scared to go for a breakaway because they know it will be futile and they'll waste a load of energy and they'll just get swallowed up at the end. And I think what goes to show in this style of racing, you can actually, there you go, you can have a breakaway. Okay, the breakaway didn't stay away, but he was able to still conserve enough energy and be in the right position for that final sprint and to get the win, which, as I say, we're not used to seeing that. So it was pretty cool to see.
It was. And I think everyone that has been in that race will have enjoyed that. And it's great advertisement for the sport of Zwift racing.
Definitely. And that's what the Race to the Underground series is all about. It's about trying something different. Trying to utilize the format in a different way, and the feedback so far from the racers has been really positive, and hopefully they enjoyed this one a little bit more than the previous race. So this was a bit flatter, it was more one for the sprinters. We tried to make it a bit more even. It definitely seems like in the pro-ams they're getting a lot hillier, so it's less fair for the sprinters. So we really tried to choose different courses each week, which are suited to different kind of riders. And as you see, Brian Hodges was the one who was best adapted for this this flatter course, and he's come home with the bacon.
Yeah, he really had the tactics down today. He knew exactly what he wanted. He attacked on the early climbs, and still he knew that he had the energy in the sprint towards the end. I think you knew that that was probably the course where you could best perform it in the first couple of weeks of that series, and he really made that one work. And yeah, I'm only looking forward to the coming races now.
Yeah, awesome stuff. So, thanks a lot, Philip, for joining me tonight. It's great to have you on the commentary with me. Definitely made my life a lot easier, especially when I had
It
to,
was a pleasure.
especially when I had to hop on the bike to do the neutralized start because it's impossible to talk and ride. I was pedaling with just socks on, so it was also very uncomfortable.
It was impressive the numbers you hit.
Oh, I mean, I could have done more if I had my slippers on.
Of course.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Really good. Thanks for everybody who watched. It was really cool. We'll be back again next week, same time, and we will be here 8 p.m. CET next Tuesday for round 3 of the Race to the Underground series. Check our Instagram tomorrow because we will be publishing the final results. So there's the individual GC stage results and also the team results. So it'll be interesting to see where everyone stands. So check our Instagram tomorrow and see where everyone is. And we'll see you here next Tuesday. Thanks a lot.
Bye. Cheers.